Hey YouTube, what's up? This is Steven, and let's just jump right into it. Alright, colorism versus heightism. Is this really an argument? Is this really like a legitimate argument that someone is putting out there? Black man. Really? There is like a big difference between colorism and heightism. And a lot of times I see like, oh, well, it's just a preference. Skin tone is just a preference, right? And that is a part of it. Yeah, skin tone is just a preference. But where did the preference of skin tone, where does that often come from versus the preference of height, right? Like skin tone preferences are shaped largely through society and white supremacy, right? Let's be real. Either we're drinking the Kool-Aid and we're going toward the whiteness, perhaps, or we're like, no, I don't want this Kool-Aid, I'm going toward the blackness, right? One or the other oftentimes, Of course, it's just, there's more things that factor into that, into a preference, a skin tone preference, of course. But if we wanted to split it down the middle and just, be like, pow, then yeah, we can just put it like that. While heightism, I think, is just, it's often shaped by the media. That's one thing, Oftentimes, I think when it comes to heightism, like women who have a preference for height, as well as men who have a preference for height. Let's keep it real. Men have a preference for height too. I mean, men usually want women who are shorter than them, while women usually want men who are taller than them. Of course, we can see men who are shorter than some women together, right? And women who are taller than some men together, right? We can see those relationships as well. But to compare the two and make it seem like they're just so equal or congruent is a lie. And I feel like people do that just to avoid the conversation of colorism. Because for black men, and to specify specifically darker skinned, especially darker skinned black men, they're kind of comfortable with this system of colorism. They're in a comfortable position. Let's keep it real. It may not be the best position, but they're in a comfortable position, right? They're getting the media exposure with, colorism, right? They're the preference for black women, right? At least openly, right? As well, they're in a position where they can kind of yield some power within their community. And as as it should be, right? As it should be. I'm not arguing against that particular aspect of it, but I'm just saying, the power that they have in the community because of their position and the numbers, right? Because there's a lot of dark-skinned men, right? I just feel like ultimately it's a comfortable position for them, and they kind of just want to keep it that way. Never mind what darker skinned women might have to say. Never mind what light skinned do. Definitely no. And perhaps they'll listen to a lighter skinned woman, but our lighter skinned women are really complaining because they get to benefit from it too, right? They get put on a pedestal by these darker skinned dudes. They get to pick from the best of the dark skinned men who are the rich guys. The rich guys who look good too. They get first dibs, first picks on them, right? As quiet as it's kept. I know some people don't want to call that out, but if you look at a lot of these, rich, well-to-do, dark-skinned men, a lot of times the women on their arm are not reflective of them totally, right? If they're light-skinned, we'll consider that a win, right? If they're a light-skinned black woman, we'll consider that a win in the community, right? Like, oh, well, at least he ain't go for like, some white woman, right? But should that be considered a win for the community? That's debatable. Another video for another day. Um, but heightism, and colorism and heightism, right? People weren't being lynched because of their height. People weren't being enslaved because of their height. People weren't being denied job opportunities because of their height. People weren't being raped because of their height, right? But colorism, yes, people were denied job opportunities because of the color of their skin. People were raped because of the color of their skin. People were lynched because of the color of their skin. People were enslaved because of the color of their skin. So this runs a lot deeper than just a preference, right? I think, how could we not know that, right? How could someone be legitimately using this as an argument, and even perhaps in some aspects even winning to an extent as making this an argument, a legitimate argument, right? Um, you know, I personally don't have an experience with heightism, really. Not really that, not really. I'm at like a, decent, respectable height. I'm not like super tall, but I'm not like super short either. I'm at like a respectable height where like the woman of an average height could wear heels and still, feel comfortable being next to me, like, oh, I can wear heels and not have to worry about being taller than you, like, something like that, right? um, so I'm not going to say that I know the struggle of being like a short man in society, because I don't. But let's be real. If that was a issue to the extent that colorism is an issue, then those men would be advocating for themselves in some way. But they don't really have to an extent, because they can perhaps just date a woman who is shorter than them, or they can have money, right? And I think, money is what a lot of these, like, especially like dark skinned dudes, be using to get these other chicks from other communities, other races, to be interested in them, right? Because a lot of times when you look at these interracial relationships in the media, a lot of times these dudes be picking up like just the run of the mill 9 to 5 chicks from other communities. They're not like women who would be considered on their level, right? Usually, not all the time, but a lot of the times, like say Tiger Woods' wife, right? O.J. Simpson's wife, right? Um, I think, um, who else we can name? Wayne Brady's wife, or baby mama, right? And the list goes on. There's way more folks we can name, right? They're not, those women that they get, partially because of, you know, looks and money, right? But the thing is, like, for the men, the colorism, while it does hold them back in certain aspects, it's not as bad for men as it is for women, because men aren't judged on just on like, oh, your handsomeness. It's like, well, you're not handsome, but you got money, so I'll see where this goes. Like, that's what these women be thinking. Keep it real, like some like kind of like not crumb bum dude, but like some kind of like basic struggle face dude who got a lot of money though, right? He's like, you know, got like $50 million. Some women gonna be open to that, even though he's like a struggle face dude. Women gonna be open to that because they want the money, they want that aspect, and perhaps in the process of that, they will perhaps form, a love, a bond, and really get to know the person and know the soul, perhaps. But that helps. While women, on the other hand, the beauty standard for black women is stacked against them. You have to have like, uh, light skin, straight hair, you know, um, fine facial features too. And black women's black women don't really have those features per se. You know, there's some black women who do, of course, but you know, in that situation, I feel like lighter skinned women kind of manage better because the lighter skinned women are more into that beauty standard, you know, fit more into it, right? They may not fit 100%, but they fit enough, right? Well, I think dark skinned women, it's tougher, you know, when you're having to compete in that beauty standard, you know. Not to say that, you know, every dark skinned woman is struggling and can't get a man, because we know that's not true. But I'm just saying, I think that colorism for women is plays more of a role in their day-to-day life because of beauty, right? Beauty for women is like considered very important, right? She is judged based on beauty. Oftentimes when we think of women, we think about how they look. You know, why do you think all these, like, there's so many like beauty products for women, right? Because women, they know what's up, right? They know that beauty, they gotta have some beauty, and if they don't, then they're at a disadvantage. So to sum it up, heightism and colorism are not congruent. You know, they're not arguments. They're not the same thing. They're different. And to say that, you know, colorism and heightism are the same and it's just a preference, you know, that's not cool. That's not right. That's a lie. You know, that's a lie. It's not. They're different. You know, colorism runs deep, especially in our community. So many people have so many stories about colorism versus heightism. Yeah, some folks got some stories, but come on. Which stories really, like, whoa, did that really happen? Like, damn, you really went through something like that because of the color of your skin? You really think that? Like, which, let's be real, right? So, long story short, colorism does not equal heightism, and vice versa, right? Let's not associate the two together anymore. All right. So thanks a lot for watching. Feel free to comment, subscribe, thumbs up. I really appreciate the support and feedback. Adios and goodbye for now.